Welcome to our playlist, Yaya and Mimi on the AT. These videos will cover my sister and I hiking the Appalachian Trail one section at a time. We're grandmas, so Yaya and Mimi are our grandma names. And I'm Mimi.
Mimi!
I'm Yaya.
Yaya!
It is a nightmare trying to get out of our houses and get all of our responsibilities taken care of. We have children still in school. I have a middle schooler and a high schooler, and Amber has a high schooler as well. And Amber also takes care of a grown special needs daughter, and that special needs daughter is very, very much attached to Amber.
No, go, Mom. But I want to go hiking. No, I'm saying, please, let me go hiking. No, go, Mom.
And so it's difficult for her to get away and to be able to have those short reprieves to come back even a stronger and better caregiver. So our mom was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in her 50s. And Amber and I are both in our 50s now. And so that really hits home for both of us. She battled early onset Alzheimer's for 7 years before she passed away, and Amber and I were very active in her caregiving, and it was a very emotional and draining time, but also a very special time that we were able to spend so much time with her. And even as she began to forget who we were, we all grew pretty close together during that time as caregivers for her. And it's always in the back of our minds about how young she was taken and how we don't know how many days we are given. Our mom once said, one day I'll hike the Appalachian Trail, but her one day never came. We have to seize the day and to embrace our season and to be willing to be vulnerable and get out there and do things that feel like there's no way we can do them in the seasons of life that we're in. And we hope that we can set that example of strength and courage for women to get out there and live their dreams now and not wait or delay to have those beautiful experiences that the outdoors can bring. We dedicate this hike to our mom. So I'm going to start with a disclaimer that we are beginners. We are just starting out and we're discovering the trail one step at a time, and so prepare to probably be amused. Hopefully you won't just be amused. Hopefully we will be able to offer a little bit of information as we learn from our mistakes. But most of all, we hope you just enjoy our videos to help you out as you plan your hiking journey. So we started out on our Georgia section of the Appalachian Trail in September of 2020, and there were 8 of us on our first trip, and those 8 included myself, and I'm Mimi, and my cute husband Blair, and Amber, who is Yaya, and she brought her cute husband Martin. And then we were so excited that our little brother was able to come with us, and his name is Jimmy, and he brought his wife Rachel. And then we had a family friend whose name is Lori, and she brought her daughter Kira. So there were 8 of us, and we were so excited. We had planned everything out. We all had pretty much brand new equipment, and we headed to Springer Mountain. And then we realized from some information that we had gathered from a friend who had already previously hiked this section that the southern terminus of Springer is actually about a mile south of where the parking is, and I think the parking was called Big Stamp Gap. And so we parked at Big Stamp Gap, and we just kind of left our backpacks there, and we did that first mile and back to the parking lot to get pictures at the famous rock and the plaque, and it was so much fun. Well, on the way back down the trail to the parking lot to our vehicles, it started to rain. And we had watched the weather. We knew this was going to be problematic because the weekend that we had planned, Tropical Storm Beta had come through. I think it came up like through the Gulf, and it came through Alabama, and it was headed right to North Georgia in the middle of our weekend. And so we learned right off the bat, you've got to be flexible. And so we kind of took our first 0 day the first day we started. So our day started off the 1 mile to Springer Mountain and then back to Big Stamp Gap. And then we stayed at a hotel in Dahlonega. I think it was called, let me look that up. It was called I will definitely put a picture up so you can see because they were phenomenal. Let's see, Forest Hills Resort in Dahlonega, Georgia. And they were just a cute little like boutique resort just tucked away in the mountains, and we all stayed there and we sat around with our computers and we watched the weather storm come through, and we knew we were going to lose that whole next day. So we took off and we went and visited a family friend that lives up in the North Georgia mountains and spent some time with her. And then we got on the trail the very next morning, and it was still raining, but most of the thunderstorms had left at that point. So we felt like it was safe. It might be miserable because of the rain, but we felt like it was safe because most of the lightning had gone through. Okay, so we headed back to the Appalachian Trail and we staged vehicles. We didn't use shuttles at that point. We didn't know any of the shuttle drivers. We learned some of the shuttle drivers in our in the more northern part of the Georgia section. But at this very first section of these 12 miles, we didn't know. And so we took 4 vehicles, because there was 8 of us, and we staged vehicles. And this is how we staged them in case you want to repeat it. So we first started off, we put 2 vehicles at the end, which was Cooper Gap. We know we wanted to do one overnighter and end at Cooper Gap. So we put 2 vehicles there. And then we drove to the middle section, which was Hightower Gap, I think. Let me just make sure that was Hightower. Yes, at Hightower. We put a vehicle there, which was sort of the halfway mark as an emergency out. And then we all piled into one minivan, which was hilarious because there were 8 of us, but we also had these big, huge backpacks. And so my brother Jimmy had a luggage rack that he put on, and we put some of the backpacks up there. And so we drove all the way up that super rocky forestry road to get back up to the Springer Mountain Trailhead, which is called Big Stamp Gap. And we started the trail. And so the first place that we came to that really made me feel like we were on the Appalachian Trail was the footbridge, which is right after the Stover Creek Shelter. And I had seen pictures taken on that log on a ton of videos, and I just couldn't wait. And when we got to that part of the trail, I felt like we were really on the Appalachian Trail. And so I was super excited. We stopped and we took a video of us all crossing that creek, and that was like a huge monumental moment for me.
You got it?
Thank you for being there.
You can grab onto my arm and do it. I'm very friendly.
It gets smoother over here, watch out. Good job, Kara. I can do this with a pack on. We got some booty balance. Player, why do you have to do it the hard way?
I'd rather do it this way than slip on that.
Hey, bro.
Smile for the camera. Smile, Martin, you got this.
Just pulls it up. Those are 8 pulls.
And then shortly after that, we got to the Three Forks Bridge, footbridge, and that was really a beautiful creek bridge too. And we stopped and took pictures there. And after that, I want to highly recommend, there's a side trail you can take, blue blazed, after Three Forks, and it takes you to Long Creek Falls. And Long Creek Falls was gorgeous. It was kind of hot that day, and it had been raining on us, and we were all just feeling really muggy. And that waterfall created like an air conditioning. You went right up to it, and it felt like a nature-made air conditioning. And we stopped, and we filtered water there, and we had a snack, and we took our backpacks off, and really enjoyed that section. And then we camped that night at Hawk Mountain campsite. And I don't know what I was visualizing. I think all of us sitting around in a powwow in a circle and being able to have a fire together. That did not happen. So the campsites at Hawk Mountain campsite it's not the shelter, but the campsite is like this long trail that goes down this hill, and there's these little flat campsite pads that one tent fits on. And one thing that drew us to the campsites instead of the shelter was that there was a privy. And none of us were super experienced with going to the bathroom in the woods yet. And so we were excited to have a privy. And it also had a bear vault, and we weren't very experienced hanging a bear bag yet. And so that's sort of what drew us to that campsite. And so we stayed at number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10. And the bear vault and the privy was right in the middle of us. And we said, everyone set up your tents, and then we're going to all gather together and make our dinners together and visit. And then it started pouring down rain on us again. And so we had enough time to set up our tents, and then we all took shelter in our tents and stayed there the rest of the night and got a really good night's sleep because it was so early. And so the next morning we started hiking out, and we realized when we looked at the map that Hightower Gap, where we had left the emergency out vehicle, was like a mile away. And our packs were feeling super heavy because we were newbies. And so as soon as we got to our car at Hightower, we all took our packs off and loaded them into the car. And then we had our first taste of slack packing, which was phenomenal. And then we were able to slack pack Sassafras Mountain, because Sassafras Mountain kind of kicked our butts. It was harder than we thought it was going to be. And we were super grateful we didn't have our full packs on for that one. And so we were able to do Sassafras Mountain, and it was gorgeous views at the top. And then we ended at Cooper Gap. And so we had completed the first 12 miles of the Appalachian Trail, and we felt super accomplished. And then we came home, and my sister and I, we started talking, and we're like, let's do all of the Georgia section this year. Let's finish it in 2020. Let's make something memorable about 2020 besides COVID. And so we sat down and we planned out 3 more weekends, and we finished the Georgia section of the Appalachian Trail in 2020. And so there'll be 3 more videos about our other 3 weekends, and we finished at Deep Gap, North Carolina. So we're excited to share that with you.